Hello, treasure hunters! I recently went on my first ever boots on the ground trip looking for the Appalachian Footpath box, and I am going to walk you through one of my hikes where I looked at the base of the Amicalola Falls and explain to you what I was looking for there and why I thought it was a good place to start. First things first, the reason that I wanted to look at this area is because of the Springer Spaniel that's on the map. A general consensus is that the Springer Spaniel, which is the dog, is a clue that the begin here starts maybe just before Springer Mountain, which actually aligns perfectly with the Amicalola Falls State Park area. So this is the map that I created in All Trails to track kind of the hike that I wanted to do. This is actually at the base of the falls in Amicalola Falls State Park. There's a lot of side trails around there. I knew that from hiking the area before, so I started looking into those trails to begin with. So I wanted to show this picture, even though it's a very unflattering picture of me, to prove that I was in the actual area. The things that I liked that drew me to this area were the fact that this is along the Appalachian Trail, not necessarily on it, as well as the trail names matching up with keywords in the text, like Mountain Laurel and Spring. There were also rainbow blazes on the trees because it was several trails that made up this one loop, and they all had different color blazes on them. So, one thing that is unanimously agreed upon by all treasure hunters, it seems, is once you get boots on the ground, it looks so different from the maps that you look at online. Again, here is the map from all trails that I put together, and then this is what it looks like on Google Maps. So, as you can see, it's very different than what you actually see in person, which is more like this. And I imagine it's gonna be even harder to look for treasure once there's leaves on the trees creating more cover. There were a few items on the trail that got my spidey senses tingling. One of them was this little statue. I think that if you look at the mountain lion that's on the map upside down, it starts to look like praying hands of some sort. Also, when I was looking at my phone when I was on location, this arrow appeared, which I have not been able to get to appear since. So it could be one of those indicators that you will only see once you are boots on the ground. The trails that I went on dumped me out at the bottom of the Amicalola Falls, which has a pathway and then some stairs, a lot of stairs to climb up, and this made a trail of mist. John Collins Black has said many times that there will be clues that will only make sense once your boots on the ground in the right area. I would expect something like this old moonshining car to be on a map if this were the right location. Although everything looked pretty good on paper to begin with, this was very much an exploratory trip to see what going boots on the ground was like and see how readily available clues that line up with the map would be. And ultimately, I think that there weren't very many clues that just automatically lined up with this area. So I don't think that it's the right area. It was a very basic plot. I did not have a very complicated solve. I was just more doing this as recon of what it's like to be boots on the ground. Overall, I didn't get treasure vibes from the area. It's a very high traffic area. I was there on a weekday and there were people hiking everywhere. Actually a very international crowd, which I was surprised at. There was also not really alignment in the clues like I mentioned before, but it's always nice to visit a pretty place with a beautiful waterfall, and it is worth visiting if you are going to make your way up through Georgia to get to Springer Mountain. This recon wasn't very successful, so there's not a whole lot to report in this video, but I did want to record and document where I was and what I was looking at and what I found and share it with you guys. You might have more clues that line up with this area. If you start looking at it on a map, I encourage you to go and check it out if your spidey senses start to tingle. But all in all, I'm going to consider this one checked off my list for places to check out. I am going to make some other boots on the ground videos from things that I learned from this trip and cover one other trail that starts at Springer Mountain. So look out for those videos and enjoy.